Greetings to all my tech heads out there in the KevTechify Nation, and if you're new here, welcome. In this episode, we're going to look at mitigating VLAN attacks. We'll be discussing VLAN attacks, and then finally, the steps to mitigate VLAN hopping attacks. This episode is part of my series on switching, routing, and wireless essentials for the Cisco Certified Networking Associate, also known as the CCNA. I'm Kevin here at KevTechify. Let's get this adventure started. The main method of VLAN attacks is VLAN hopping. We can do VLAN hopping typically in three ways. First way is spoofing your DTP message, your dynamic trunking protocol message. The second one is introducing a rogue switch and enable trunking on that switch. Or the third way is what we call double tagging or double encapsulation your attacks. All of these allow you to go from your VLAN into somebody else's VLAN or a VLAN you're not supposed to be in. To mitigate against VLAN hopping attacks, there's several steps you should do. First step is disable dynamic trunking protocol negotiations on non-trunking ports. Now, easiest way to do that is manually set this as an access port, and so this one goes up here, this goes here, or set it as a trunk. Go in and set that up. If you don't set that, it will, and if you don't set it either to access or trunk, it will be set to auto trunking. It will do negotiations to create a trunk. Next step is to disable unused ports and place in an unused VLAN. That would be using the shutdown command. Don't have that in our example, but you would go into the port or range of ports or interfaces and shut them down. And that would happen right here. You could go into, we went into a range of ports here. We could do a shutdown command, and that would shut down all of these ports. Be right there. The third thing we can do is manually enable the trunk. That is down here. We are doing that. We're not letting negotiations happening. And so once you get into that interface, it's a switch port mode trunk is the command you would do. Then we disable the DTP negotiations. Disabling that right here. Once it's a trunk, then you come into switch port and you say non-negotiate. That disables that from happening. That way you can't bring in a rogue switch and it automatically creates that. And the last step you should do is set that native VLAN from the default VLAN. I forgot the word default in there. So change it, set it from the native, from the default native VLAN, which is 1, set it to something else. Here in this example, we set it to 9999. And then this VLAN also shouldn't be used anywhere else to give devices access to your network. It shouldn't be connected to an end device port at all. It should not be set as one of your access ports. In this example, we set our native VLAN to 99. Up here, we set the VLAN to be 1000. We are using different VLANs there. Never use the native VLAN for a port connected to an access port. It was my pleasure to provide you with this wonderful episode on mitigating VLAN attacks. If you like this episode and you got value out of it, and of course, depending upon what platform you're using, please click that like button, give a 5-star rating, leave a comment. This all helps me bring you more great content. Please take a minute to subscribe to my channel. All my socials and contact information are on my website, KevTechify.com. There you can find out how to get all these episodes in video and podcast form. In the upper right is my playlist for my series on switching, routing, and wireless essentials for the CCNA. In the bottom right is one of my favorite videos that I linked just for you. Thank you so much for watching this episode of my series on switching, routing, and wireless essentials for the CCNA. Once again, I'm Kevin. This is KevTechify. I'll see you next time for another great adventure.